Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, July 8th, 2019. The big news story distraction today is Jeffrey Epstein in court pleading not guilty following his Saturday arrest, July 6th. If you missed the video I put out July 6th, I showed how that was the latest contrived distraction by the numbers. And again, understand, if it's in the mainstream media, it is here to distract you. Every day, news is nothing but a distraction. We live in a well-oiled machine. The purpose of this machine is to keep us all enslaved. Running around on the treadmill, working, consuming, paying taxes. Everything in the media is just noise to make you forget about the reality of your existence. That you work enslaved and pay taxes to a machine that dominates the world with tyranny, terrorism, poison, and all things wrong. So all these people in the truth community that are, celebrating this and thinking this is something, these are people who aren't awake. These are people who are sound asleep, who don't have a clue, period. And let me show you just how ridiculous all of this is. We're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the names he's being attached to. Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, plus more. So today is July 8th, the day he appeared in court and pled not guilty. July 8th is the day leaving 176 days left in the year. He's charged with sex trafficking of minors, and what was used to do the trafficking is the plane known as the Lolita Express. And notice what Lolita Express equals. 176. So on the day leaving 176 days left in the year, you're reading the headlines about this. And of course, this has a lot to do with the Me Too movement. Me Too movement's 176. New Jeffrey Epstein case, a crucial test of Me Too's staying power. So here's a little bit of reporting. Epstein is a politically connected hedge fund manager. Isn't it amazing how much money these people can make? Hedge fund manager, who's been closely associated with former President Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, the son of Queen Elizabeth II. We're going to look at her too. Both Clinton and the British royal are said to have jetted around the globe on Epstein's private plane known as the Lolita Express. The financier also has ties to President Trump, who was his neighbor in Palm Beach, Florida, and also reportedly flew on Epstein's jet. And, just think about the entire Trump presidency, even before he became president. And also just think about just the continued narratives that bring up Clinton and Trump, Donald Trump, the lifelong Democrat, until Obama became president. And don't forget when Obama was president, that's when the whole birther thing came up. And then Obama at the White House Correspondents' Dinner did the joke in 2011 about Donald Trump being the next president, which wasn't really a joke. It was foreshadowing what was always planned. But ever since then, just Trump, Clinton, Trump, Clinton, Trump, Clinton. He ran against Hillary Clinton. When Bill Clinton was the president, he had the sex scandal. And, weeks, what was it? It was exactly a span of 33 days before the election. That's when the tape came out about Trump and Billy Bush, the relative of another president. Donald Trump saying that he can just grope women because he's a celebrity. Donald Trump, the same man who said numerous times about his daughter, even when she was a young teenager, he'd love to date her. He's so attracted to her. And for those of you who still are, 40-year-old virgins or whatever you are, who say, Donald Trump's never said he wanted to fuck his own daughter. What does it mean if you're attracted and want to date your own daughter? Isn't it pretty much saying the same thing? Do grown men want to date women because they just want to have a nice conversation with them? Somebody will give you the birds and bees talk someday. So anyway, Donald Trump, a real perv. Plus, what's been the whole story with him? I understand most of these stories are contrived, but the point is, all of this news distraction is just the same stuff. And the focus with Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, sex, sex, sex. Donald Trump has all these accusers that he's raped them, that, he's done all this stuff, kissed them. They didn't want to be kissed. young, old alike have all come out and accused. Understand, they're just keeping the mind's eye of the masses fixated on this topic, which controls the mind for a lot of people. Sex, distraction, using human psychology. So anyway, we're going to go through all of this, how all of this comes together, and we're going to start with old Bill Clinton, the last president to be impeached. Slick Willie. So look at this. From Bill Clinton's birthday to the day that Epstein was arrested was Epstein's was Bill Clinton's 322nd day of his age. 322. Infamous number. Bill Clinton became, before George W. Bush, member of 322 Skull and Bones. But notice the full name of Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Edward Epstein. 322. And this 322 thing, it really reminds me of the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Genesis 3:22, which is the 78th verse of Genesis. And if you don't know that verse, we'll go over it. So notice Genesis equals 78. Again, the 78th verse of Genesis is Genesis 3:22. And Genesis 3:22 is a tribute to Kabbalah. Here's the verse right here. And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. And of course, Adam and Eve, they end up eating from the tree of life. And how does God punish them? You know, he casts them out of the garden and he makes Eve pregnant, which tells you that eating from the tree of life is really sex, right? Because what else would make you pregnant? And he punishes her by giving these uncomfortable feelings with the pregnancy. So that's the story from Genesis 3:22, which has everything to do with sex. But what a lot of people don't realize about Genesis 3:22 and the New International Version and the King James Version, which is slightly different wording, and the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil, and now lest he put forth his hand and take also the tree of life and eat and live forever. What's interesting about both of these verses, if you take the wording up to good and evil, and again, that's what the story has to do with too, right? Good and evil. Is it evil to, take advantage of young, poor women and have them do sexual favors for you for money? And really, this whole thing with Jeffrey Epstein really should be a debate. People really should think about these things. It's not that he raped any of these young girls, it's that he paid them and that they're under the age of 18. But I bet a lot of us grew up, and I bet a lot of us had, sexual experiences well before we were 18, And it's no secret that older men like younger women and younger women like older men in this world. That's just part of, this human relationship thing. Anyway, without going down that road, just realize how all of this stuff ties in. Good and evil. Right and wrong. But both of these verses, up to the good and evil part, despite the different wording, they both sum to 322. Very special number. That's why Skull and Bones identifies by 322. And if you take the wording of good and evil in the King James Version, it also has a gematria value of 281. If you've ever seen my work on the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, where I said he wouldn't make it past November of 2018, which he didn't, and he wouldn't make it past the age of 94. His death had everything to do with 281. So did his father's death. So did the founder of Skull and Bones. So this verse has a lot to do with that powerful secret society, which has a lot to do with the White House and, politics. See what I just did on the Robert Mueller thing in 322 and Skull and Bones. And don't forget, he was appointed by George W. Bush, the member of Skull and Bones. Looks like George is the only guy who hasn't been on the Lolita Express. Anyway, you see how this all comes together, though? This 322 thing in court on 7/8. Genesis, the 78th verse. So Prince Andrew, the other guy who wrote on the Lolita Express, from his birthday to the arrest was 137 days later. And what's interesting about that is Kabbalah in Hebrew sums to 137. And again, the tree of life is Kabbalah. The physical model for Kabbalah is the tree of life. And within Kabbalah, there's this understood rule, that you cannot be overly fixated on sex. It stunts your development as a human being, keeps you at a low functioning state, a low vibration. An over fascination with sex stunts you as a human being. Kabbalah. And isn't that what they do to us in this society? They just drown us in sex. You know, music, movies, news. So you really can see what they've done here, you know. They just got the whole mind's eye of the masses fixated on the same things. You know. What can you count on in every Hollywood movie? Violence and sex, right? Pretty much all that's on television, and sports and shopping. So anyhow, how interesting that from Prince Andrew's birthday to the arrest, 137 days. Again, big Kabbalah number. By the way, what Genesis means, Genesis, we're talking about Genesis 3:22. Genesis means in the beginning, which equals 137. 137 is the 33rd prime number. Genesis with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology is 33. Sex is also 33. If you count from Prince Andrew's birthday to his day in court, July 8th today, Epstein, it's 139 days. It's interesting that he's known as the Duke of York. Duke of York's 139, so is Freemasonry. He's 59 years old right now. Freemasonry sums to 59 in Hebrew and in English. 59 is the 17th prime number. Modern Freemasonry dates back to June 24th, 1717 in London. The royal family's Masonic. So are most things in this world that we learn about through the television, including all of the world's governments. Lolita Express, the name of this plane that's big today, also has Gematria 58 like Freemasonry. Don't forget Donald Trump, the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. He announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Hillary Clinton put out a book about why she lost called What Happened? What Happened equals 58. And Prince Andrew, his mother's Queen Elizabeth, how interesting that from her birthday to this story on July 8th is 78 days later. To bring us back to Genesis and 7:8. So for the person calling in right now, I'll take your call in a minute. I just got to finish presenting. Want to go over the things I covered July 6th when the news broke. Again, we clued into that Epstein 322 thing. The day of his arrest, July 6th, that was the 187th day of the year, leaving 178 days remaining. And what arrested him was titled the FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force. And I'm not sure if that's a real thing or they just made it up for this story. But they said that is what arrested him. And look at the name, 178, just like how he was arrested on the day, leaving 178 days left in the year. And as we talked about Saturday, Jeffrey Epstein equals 71, like sex trafficking equals 71. Something I should add on to that is, remember the first Democratic debate was on a date with 71 numerology, exactly a span of 71 weeks to the election. 71's the 20th prime number. There were 20 candidates debating. It'll be the 2020 election. And remember, Donald Trump's presidency was foreshadowed through The Simpsons, and The Simpsons said he'd be a disastrous president and he'd be followed by the first female president. The only woman who's going to be 71 at the time of the election is Elizabeth Warren, who's been his rival since 2015. But, you know, it remains to be seen where they're going to take this story. Are they going to build on the connections with Trump? You know, they've mentioned that he rode on the plane. He's probably been to this island, which they call Orgy Island. I should look more into the island. I haven't done a lot of research on the island, but anyway, I'm sure this story is going to be with us for a while. And wherever they're going to take the next rigged election, this narrative is probably going to end up fitting in there. Epstein, the focus is that he paid for sex with minors. Notice how his name has overlap in 3 of the 4 base ciphers with minors. Probably why he is the fall guy. And just understand, I mean, there's billionaires all over the world doing this kind of stuff and worse. You know? So there's a reason you're getting this story. And there's a reason this story's been put out before you over the last decade. You know? The media is a planned, well-coordinated circus. Epstein, his birthday is January 20th, which is also the day that presidents get inaugurated, right? And here we are, you know, this story's coming front and center right as we get into the, you know, the whole election cycle. Got to see how the machine works. But from his birthday to his arrest was 167 days later. That's the 39th prime number. Remember, everything in New York's 39. New York equals 39. Here, let's just do it. Let's just pull up the base ciphers and go over it, just in case somebody never seen one of these videos. So let's get familiar with the 4 base ciphers. The abbreviation NY is 39 when you use the alphabetic order. That's where A's 1, B's 2, C's 3, D's 4, up to Z is 26. So N's the 14th letter, Y is the 25th, 14 plus 25, 39. NYC for New York City, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, making Z1 counting back to A is 26, is 39. New York with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology. So N, the 14th letter, becomes 1 plus 4 is 5. E is the 5th letter. W, the 23rd letter, becomes 2 plus 3 is 5. You just make each letter a single-digit number, then you add the word. Y, the 25th letter, is 2 plus 5 is 7. So Y is 7. O, the 15th, 1 plus 5 is 6. So on. New York, 39. Notice New York's also 78, like how he's in court in New York on 7/8. New York's known as the Empire State. Empire with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology is 39. The first governor of New York was George, 39. Clinton, 39. If you didn't know, Bill Clinton, who's part of this story, he wasn't born Bill Clinton. He was born Bill Blythe. His biological father was found dead on the side of the road May 17th, 1946, if I remember correctly. And his mother remarried into the Clinton political dynasty family out of New York, which is why Hillary later became a senator there. But Clinton's 39 with the reverse alphabetic order and rules of numerology. George Clinton, the politician, not the musician, he was born July 26, 1739. Here's his birthday right here. Born in the year 39. New York was established July 26th, 1788? Yeah, that's right. That's a date with 39 numerology. New York, July. Yeah, that's it. It just came up. New York, July 26, 1788. So if you add 7 plus 2 plus 6, that's 15, right? And then the year is 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8, which is 24. So 15 plus 24, 39. The United Nations in New York is 39 floors tall. Every year in the 39th week of the year is when the world meets at that building in New York. You know, the United Nations leaders. The World's Fair there was in 39. Yankees won a World Series in 39. Every New York Super Bowl goes back to 39. G-Min 39. The Jets won their only Super Bowl 16-7. Kind of like 167, 39 prime. But just New York and 39. It's just everything there. Again and again and again and again and again. Even when ESPN began their show in New York City, First Take, they started a countdown on July 26th, which is New York's birthday, 39 days to September 3rd when they moved there, a date that can be written 3/9. You know, why would they start a countdown of 39 days to moving to New York? But really, when you recognize this number code, you just see how omnipresent it is, how many different things are using it. You know, it's everywhere. If you count the span of days from his birthday to July 6th when he was arrested, it was 168 days. New York City's also 168, where he was arrested. The court date on 7/8. And the articles here talk about how, you know, Jeffrey Epstein nearly got busted when he was 54, but he got off the hook with a slap on the wrist. And then his court date today, July 8, 2019, date with 54 numerology. Pedophile equals 54. And technically, that's what he is. So there are definitely worse types of pedophiles who take advantage of really young children. I'm not sure. To me, that's a lot worse than paying people who are between ages 14 and 17 for sex, like raping 5-year-olds. To me, it's about 1,000 times worse. But it's pretty gross to take advantage of poor people too, just because you have money. So. And what made me laugh was this morning, the first headline up, CNN, billionaire charged with sex trafficking. Sums to 212. That's the New York City area code. And now CNN's latest headline that they kept up all morning, Epstein had trove of lewd photos, prosecutors say. What's that equal? 212, the New York area code. I'm sure that's probably still the headline. Lewd seems to be the word of the day. Yeah. So Eric Swalwell, what a tool. But anyway, it's just all a show. It's all a ritual. It's all by the numbers, just like how every single day you apply this code, you just see through the contrived crap, You see what a puppet on strings Donald Trump is. And I always love when the critics watch videos and say, what do you mean Trump's a critic or a puppet? Have you followed what I've been doing since 2015, showing how every action by this guy is no different than what I'm exposing here? Every single thing about him. Have you read my book? Anyone who reads my book, the chapter on Trump, it's undeniable what's going on. So, and anyway, it just seems that the majority of people, they don't want to get it. They want to tune into all these shills like Owen Benjamin. What a tool. Why are people watching that guy? He's not funny. Like, to be a comedian, don't you have to be funny? Guy's not funny at all. Total tool, has no idea what he's talking about, just spews bullshit. Puts up a video, and in 5 seconds it has 100,000 views saying that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on Donald Trump's orders. Give me a break, man. Puppet Trump isn't making any calls. Puppet Trump's a puppet, period. That other tool, what's his name? Sticks and Hammer 666. Why do people watch these guys? Guys that just regurgitate the news and act like they're smart, retelling what's in the mainstream? People just live in the mainstream. They don't want to know the truth. But notice, that's what YouTube is now. That's what YouTube is now. Mainstream news and people who regurgitate the news. What's this other new channel that's emerged out of nowhere? The guy who's got a nose longer than Pinocchio, Agenda-Free TV. You guys notice how that guy's streaming? Whenever he's got a live stream, he's supposedly got like 5,000 people watching, and all he's doing is just reading news headlines. Jewish guy, of course, sharing absolutely nothing, but just all the real content's getting buried by mainstream media and the shills who are promoted to the top. So it's sad. I think I had out one of the first videos on the Epstein contrived news, and did you see what YouTube did? They buried it under everybody's video. Even people that had like 5 subscribers who made a video on Epstein, their videos went right to the top. So, and look at what all these idiots are doing. They're all celebrating. Yeah, he got arrested. This is such great news. No, it's not. Just the latest distraction to remind you or make you forget about what actually matters. And nothing's even going on here. So, nothing but another political narrative to add to the highly contrived political theater that already exists. That's all this is. So. All right. I don't really have any more else to say. If anybody wants to call in, there is a number, 509-731-0567. Again, 509-731-0567. Some people tried to call in earlier, but I was still presenting. If you guys want to call back, now is the time. If not, we can wrap it up. So What's up, caller?
Hey, what's up, Seth? Are you going to do a live video or a video about the Lion King? Because I love to the Patreon Sports Code, and I heard I got something about the Lion King. I didn't catch all of it, but it sounds like it's very interesting about the Lion King movie coming out.
Yeah, I'll do something on that. I will.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, thanks, man.
Okay.
You guys notice they're releasing the Lion King film on a Thursday? That's the 199th day of the year, which is the 46th prime, and Lion King equals 46. And somebody on the Sports Decode, they're excited about the Lions. They think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year because it's 199 days before the Super Bowl. So we'll see. The last time the Lions won their division was just before the last Lion King movie released. They didn't win the Super Bowl that year, but it was the last time they won their division. And if you write out the Lion King, it equals 173. From the end of the Lions season to the release of the Lion King in 94 was 173 days. So there is something with that movie in sports, but that's not Jeffrey Epstein. All right. Well, it doesn't look like too many people want to talk. Oh, hold on. We got another call here. Maybe somebody does. What's up, caller?
What's up, Zach? Hey, I just something to speak on about that Epstein being arrested and being a pedophile. I was reading a few articles, and they're trying to make pedophilia not a criminal anymore. They're trying to say it's some kind of mental illness. So maybe this guy is going to be like the forerunner for the face of the mental illness pedophilia disease, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But that's what I got out of that. That's all I had, Zach.
All right. Interesting observation. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yep. Nope. Yep.
All right. Now, hold on. I missed 2 calls from this caller. I'll call him back.
Nice to see you doing a live stream, man.
Yeah, what's going on?
Got a little extra time. You still on?
I'm still on.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm on.
You're still on, man?
Right.
You there, Zenith?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely. Okay. Hey, no, you're exactly right, man. I've noticed in the last few weeks, if I've got your video, if I'm at the house, and it's great, man, because I can turn the television on, but I can get Truth because I'll have your videos on there. It used to be when I was done with, like, one of your videos were done, then it would just keep going to the next video, right? It would have the next video. It would just keep going. Zach Hubbard, one video after another. Now what it does, after your video ends, it puts some bullshit like Fox News or one of these mainstream news programs on. It's like, I'm not fucking, subscribed to any of this shit. Why does this shit come on now?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how they do it.
I mean, it's so clear where they're going with this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like what the Wall Street Journal called for over a year ago. They said that it's time for YouTube to do something and just get the authorities' opinions on there on these breaking news stories and not all these other people. So
what are they so fucking scared of,
Well, we know what they're scared of. So
I was thinking of what made me think the call was I was thinking of the 322 thing, right? You brought that up earlier, the Skull and Bones.
Right.
I don't know, any of your viewers, I'm sure most of them are aware of this, but makes me think of the John Kerry, George W. Bush, the two bonesmen that ran against each other in that election. And remember Russell, the guy that did the interview with them?
Tim Resser. Tim Resser.
The guy that did the interview, he did an interview and asked John Kerry about Skull and Bones.
Tim Resser.
And asked George W. And you could just tell he got real uncomfortable.
Tim Resser, dead at 58.
Yeah, that's what made me think of that one, man.
Yeah.
If I hasn't seen those interviews, man, they need to go watch those.
Yeah, indeed. And also, I don't know if you saw recently how I covered how the Mueller thing that he's going to testify, that was a whole big 322 ritual. And of course, he was appointed.
But because George W., he was the one that appointed him, right?
Right, exactly.
Wasn't he the piece of shit that was in there when 9/11 went down? Robert Mueller?
He was appointed 7 days before September 11th. Yeah.
Yeah, what a joke, man. I mean, if it can't be any more clear what they were doing, they put an FBI director in a week before that shit goes down.
Yeah.
Wake the fuck up, people. Anybody that's doubting any of this, you need to get your head out of your ass, because this is exactly how they're doing it. It's all fucking theater, and they got it all scripted out for you. Every bit of it. Because the same goddamn people run it all.
It really is sad that people continue to invest their time and energy and emotions in mainstream headlines and follow these mainstream narratives. It's like a lot of these supposed truth channels understand they were lied to by the mainstream media about things like September 11th, but then they think after getting a monumental lie like that they can just go back the next day and trust the next news story. So
it's so ridiculous. I mean, you got to be so brain dead. It's like, some of these people I've been trying to talk to for 6-7 years now. I'll tell them things, and yeah, they understand, who's running it and how it's controlled and all this. But then they want to go back and they'll say something. Well, yeah, did you see Steph Curry? What a great thing he did. Steph Curry come down. He said that we didn't land on the moon. I mean, like they think all this shit's real, like it's really coming from this guy's mouth. Like he's not being told. And oh yeah, did you see how they put him back in check? When Steph Curry come out and talked about that? I bring up how just a year before during All-Star break they had who was it? Kyrie Irving come out and talk about flat Earth. You know, like Washington Irving, the first person to supposedly bring up flat Earth, and then they use this potent Kyrie Irving to talk to the dummies about flat Earth. I mean, can it be any more clear what they're doing to you? It couldn't be any more clear. And they do this shit every day. It's not like they gotta wait, a month or 6 months. They do it every day, and the dummies still aren't figuring it out.
They don't, and it's
the same patterns. Why are these people arguing with me about these earthquakes like they're fucking organic? I mean, they're telling you it's all done on military. It was all military. And, for God's sake, admitted for this for how long? Plus 70 years that they've been able to do these things? Wake the fuck up, people. We're in 2019. They are playing God over you. Without any doubt, that's what's going on.
You're 100% correct.
And you're gonna fucking split this son of a bitch in half one day, and everybody's what happened?
Yeah.
People trying to tell you what they're doing. This is it. I'd like you to look into this mayor from Ridgecrest, the one on the fault line where all this shit going on around where this military stuff is.
Right.
Maybe you can get her on one of these phone calls. She looks pretty green. Maybe she'll say something she's not supposed to.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into it. Mayor Ridgecrest,
her name's Peggy Breeden. Breeden, like the other, what was it? The other mayor of San Francisco.
London Breed.
Yeah, you think that's an accident too? I guess, right?
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
It is very weird, but this is just how it is, man. We know. This is how they got all these people in place in these positions.
Hey, did you know
how she was elected? Who elected these people?
Did you know that?
What secret society did they come out of?
Did you know that the July 4th earthquake was the biggest earthquake in California since the August 24th, 2014 earthquake, and that was a span of 1,776 days earlier, like July 4th, 1776?
Say the end of that again. The biggest since when?
Since the Napa quake, which was August 24th, 2014, and that was a span of 1,776 days earlier.
No, man, I didn't know that. Oh, my God, dude. It's just so in your face.
It really is,
man. It can't be any more obvious what they're doing. None of this is organic. None of it. If it's in news, it's scripted for you.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
All right, man. I've said enough. I'm glad you're doing a live stream, man. It's kind of exciting to get out there and to get the live stream stuff going. Hopefully they won't hack it again.
Yeah. All right, brother. I appreciate the call, man.
All right, brother.
All right. Have a good one, man. Take care.
Yeah, see you, man.
Caller?
Hey, Zach, I had to catch you while you were on the live.
Yeah, what's going on?
You were just talking about people hearing fake news and reacting to it.
Uh-huh.
And it affecting their real life.
Uh-huh.
So I was just around about 10 older black people. So there's a story. It's all fake. It's a fake story. It's faker than it looks like a Wes Craven movie. But on Saturday there was a 27-year-old man named Michael Adams.
Okay.
He supposedly sliced a 17-year-old black boy's throat at Circle K.
Okay.
At a Circle K gas station in Arizona, but a 17-year-old black boy, 27-year-old white man. But it's kind of getting a lot of traction from people, like because today he went to court and he was just released from prison with no meds. His attorney claims, because they claim mental illness. So he's out now. So everybody's mad, even though we don't even know if he's a real person. But just look into that. It's hilarious.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams, Michael Adams.
I see it. Justice for Elijah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks totally fake. Like his picture looks like it's one of those CIA agents, but it's real technically, because they can make it real. Put it on the news. Put it on TV for everybody here. It's real.
Sure. All right. Yeah, I'll look into it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, man. Caller?
Yes, hi. You're doing a very good job at... Hello?
Yeah, you're on. I'm listening.
Oh, sorry. You're doing a very good job at waking up people about what happened to Cameron Boyce.
Right.
They said that he had really found out something about the water crisis.
I didn't know about that.
True?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I heard it on someone's station today, YouTube channel, that he found out about the water crisis.
Okay.
And but all the rash of deaths that happened this weekend that you reported on, it was very enlightening for the American public.
Sure. And the thing that people need to pick up on is the patterns and just how redundant it is. So it's easy to understand when you understand this code why on the 187th day of the year, a number associated with homicide, there were all of these stories of deaths in the headlines, and including
it's
his.
crazy.
So.
Yes, and they said Nipsey Hussle found a formula with the cryptocurrency that would have bypassed President Trump, and that was one of the reasons that he was killed also.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I was just calling to say I enjoy your show, and
well, I appreciate
you're waking up the people.
All right, well, I do appreciate your support and you saying that, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
I got to say, though, based on the majority of comments left for my videos, it doesn't feel like people are waking up. It feels like they're in denial. Caller?
Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis. Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis.
Baba Booey. Isn't that? I see my camera froze. My camera loves to do that. Baba Booey. Isn't that what one of the guys says on the Howard Stern show? Obviously, he was trolling. Let's try this again. Too big. Okay. My old computer, the camera never froze. I don't understand why it freezes so much on this one. If anybody else wants to call in, the number is 509-731-0567. Oh, there's somebody. Caller?
Baba Booey, Howard.
What a tool. All right, let me block this idiot. Can you imagine being like such a pathetic waste of life? Let me see. How do you block somebody? Oh, there it is. Caller? Atlanta?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Yes, I would like to know, Zach, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I want to know, what do you think about the earthquake in California that hit 7.1 and the one in Indonesia that hit 7.1?
I didn't realize there was one in Indonesia too. What day was that?
You know what? I heard it just the other day. I think it hit out in the water, though, out in the ocean.
Okay, let me look. Indonesia earthquake. So, well, again, Ring of Fire 71, and this is all part of the Ring of Fire. On here it says it probably was a 7.1 at first. It looks like it was downgraded to a 6.9 if we're looking at the same one. It was July 7th, so yesterday. But yeah, I do see some headlines about it being a 7.1, so they did report it as that. Yeah, a lot of activity on the Ring of Fire right now, and I noticed all yesterday that the big story was mainstream news talking about how the big one's coming, and it's going to be so much more devastating. And I mean, I've been hearing about it my whole lifetime, living up here in the Pacific Northwest, but I imagine it probably isn't too far off. So we'll see. What part of the country do you live in? Are you in Atlanta?
I live in Georgia.
Well, you're on the right coast. You don't have to worry about it so much. So.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess you better head out of there then.
Well, I live in the better part of the state now. I don't live near the ocean anymore. So if it did happen, I'd be okay. But yeah, it's still concerning. So I do appreciate the heads up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good day. Bye. Caller? Maybe I switched over too late. Well, you can call back. Again, we have been talking about the date of August 11th. It's the date HAARP was patented. It's coming up. Caller?
Yeah. I'll come.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I had you saved. There's another number. I guess you got like another. We reached it.
Yeah, this is this is my own number.
So I'm calling because I know you talk about learning this code, and I've learned the code. Like you said, it's not very hard to get once you do a few things when you research it. But I don't know if you own that website, your website where you put the calculator and stuff. But I've been cracking some codes here locally and stuff like that. And I've noticed some things been strange happening around. And sure or not, they've been doing like riddles on me. So like your website I noticed didn't have like SSL encryption, and I've been looking into like encryption and stuff. So I was wondering if they somehow, were able to like see who goes on the website and sort of like track them from there and kind of just fuck with them or whatever. I don't know. But we know the code, we get the code. Maybe you can teach us more, like, preventing these things from happening, because, when they come with these riddles, like, they can hit you from all different types of angles. They've been doing it for hundreds of years, so like, for example, like, 13, like so many numbers can equal 13, you know what I'm saying? So like, if we know a number specifically they're using, like if you can focus more on like how do we prevent and how can we predict certain events that may happen.
Sure. So, I mean, I have done that. I've identified, the consistent patterns. That's why we always talk about how the shootings so often fall on the 44 dates. Every month I'll put out the date that you're going to read about as a suspicious celebrity death, and every month it comes true. So, I mean, there's really consistent patterns with certain types of events. And obviously I could expand on that. I mean, so that's how we correctly call sports championships year after year as well. I mean, there is absolutely a predictive element to understanding the repetitive patterns they work by.
Yeah, like numerology
they did numbers on certain numerologies. I honestly didn't think, but they came fast, like whoosh. I'm like, oh, but I was like really nervous at first, but now I'm not really so nervous because like, okay, they do riddles for like people to win championships and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So how would you know? Okay, this is a riddle for something good, something bad, or just something fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? How can you be able to decipher that? Because it's like, I don't know. Well, it's like I can go like deep into stuff, but you may not be able to like help me much. I've been like doing it myself or whatever, but
I don't look at any of this from a personal point of view. I just reveal what they do. It's just like the other day I talked about the death of the Clemson football player who supposedly drowned in a lake on his own. And it's deja vu. It's just like last year a Clemson running back dropped dead and it was synced up with the championship. Same thing this year. So and based off that, you can go, well, that's exactly what they did last year. Looks like that's probably exactly what's going to happen this year too. So,
all right. Anything just off the top of your head with the number 46? Because that's what they've been using on me, is the number 46.
Well, I don't know what you mean, like how they're using it on you, but I talk about 46 a lot in regards to sacrifice. Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice. The word sacrifice is 46. It shows up around suspicious deaths often, but it has other meaning. So it's not.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's so much meanings you can get with that number. Yeah, so that's what I was just calling for, to like
chaos.
Possibly like
chaos equals 46 too. That's another way it's used. So
say that again.
Chaos is 46.
Oh, chaos. Yeah, so hopefully like everybody watching this stuff just know like get like get an encryption like VPNs and look into like ways you can encrypt your web surfing and stuff, because I'm sure they're able to like track and stuff like that,
Sure.
So yeah, and look into privacy, so if you do this research where you're cracking codes, you know what I'm saying, your identity is sort of like protected.
Sure.
But yeah, that's all.
All right.
Keep up the good work, and I appreciate everything.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Or what I always say is if just more people would wake up and fight back, then there'd be too many people overwhelm them to keep surveillance and, harass people. So don't live in fear. What's up, Kansas?
Hey, I thought I would share some information on Skull and Bones Society of Yale, considering the 322 connection with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if you'd be down for that.
I'm up for it. Let's hear it.
Well, so Skull and Bones Society of Yale, their logo is the skull and crossbones, which, as I understand, is a tribute to the Knights Templars who buried their dead in the ossuary.
Right.
It's a way of stacking the bones.
Right.
Okay. Well, the Knights Templars have been associated with a symbol known as the Baphomet. And Eliphas Levi's Transcendental Magic, he almost always refers to the Templars along with the Baphomet. So it's the Templars Baphomet. Okay. And if you do your own research on the Baphomet and the Templars, you'll see, they've been falsely accused of this, falsely accused of that. Well, I wanted to shout out another researcher, political prisoner, named Sean Ross, and it's spelled SEANHROSS, and he has a channel called Homeland Security, and also Central Intelligence Agency, but he does a lot of videos educating about the symbolism used in different cities, with their octagons and their obelisks and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, getting back to Templars and Skull and Bones. So there is 15 people who are tapped each year to be in Skull and Bones Society of Yale.
Right.
And I think that's interesting because the 15th card in the tarot is the Devil card, which has the sign of the Baphomet on it. Okay, so, and then CIA in Gematria equals 13, like the Knights Templars being famously persecuted on Friday the 13th.
Right.
And so I just think, the connection is there. I would just say, to people, like, why are these connections there numerologically? They're, the tributes to the Knights Templars who are accused of worshiping the Baphomet, these supposedly pious Christian monks, who have a sworn, why are they attributed to that? It's, trying to open up people's minds with this is maybe difficult, but, I mean, the connection is there, and it's kind of like, I don't know how you can deny it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Always start with an easy example to understand when you're trying to warm people up to this. And I always start with September 11th. Just say, think about September 11th, 911, national emergency. What are the odds of that, first of all? And then give them the example about Flight 77. Flight number 77 hits the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, exactly 77 minutes after taking off. And then show them how September 11th equals 77 in World Trade Center in the United States. So
absolutely. Yeah. And why would they change, the height of the Pentagon, on the, you get two different results for that, 71 feet or 77
They
feet.
just did that recently. Google just recently changed that. That's just Google's answer. But if you do the research, I mean, nobody else changed the information. The U.S. government website shows the Pentagon 77 feet tall. Plus, the Pentagon was built, construction began on September 11th in 1941. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, I've gone through all that. It beggars belief. And your research, what you're putting out, what you constantly put out, it beggars belief. You confirm that this is real every day of the week. So
belief's not the word, though, man. Belief's not the word. Belief's the word with lie in the middle. My work is evidence-based, so it takes common sense to see that this is what's going on. And that's the one thing. Most people in this world do not have common sense. So most people are dumb as rocks.
They are part of the governmental religion. So
yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, and have a great day.
All right, appreciate it, man. Take care. Bye. All righty. Well, I think we can wrap it up. But yeah, it's just not hard to see. This is just all political theater. No doubt it's going to become part of the narrative for the upcoming election. How long until the next Democratic debate where they're talking about how Trump flew on Epstein's plane? Let's watch. That's how it's going to be. So. Caller?
Hey, Big Zach, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, what's up, man?
Well, I just wanted to thank you again for a great live stream. I'd just like to add to this that we have basically weapons of mass deception, weapons of mass distraction.
Yeah.
Nothing but a bunch of bread and circuses, like you said, political theater for the Goyim. That's all I got to say. Peace, brother.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll leave it there, you guys. I'll be back the next time the opportunity presents itself. Till next time.